The Courageous Conversations ministry team has put together this brief pandemic scenario in the hopes that the tools that are illustrated here might be helpful to you in your daily lives as you live in and through your Christian call. We hope that it helps you bring forward your best self and emulates the openness, love, and forbearance modeled by Jesus. This particular scenario is called Please Don't Stand So Close to Me. So Jan, as a member of the Courageous Conversation ministry team, I'd like to get your opinion on something that happened to a sister of mine recently.
Okay.
She works in a large box retail store, and while she was cashiering, she had the following thing happen. She was helping a woman, checking her out, and a man in his late teens and early 20s was next in line. Like everywhere these days, all around the store there are placards telling people please keep social distance, showing people what 6 feet was. On the floor there were signs saying stand here and wait for the next opening. Well, this young man ignored all those signs and walked right up next to the woman who was being helped, and she was obviously very uncomfortable with this. So my sister said to the man, "Excuse me, sir, but I'm going to need you to step back to the marked area until I finish with her." Well, he got very irate and started cursing at my sister, and he told her, "Don't give me any of your attitude," and he refused to move. So when my sister finished the transaction with the customer in front of him, she closed her register and walked away and left him there unattended. So my question to you is, when do you think it's appropriate to engage people we don't know who are displaying behaviors we consider unsafe? And how should we go about doing that?
Well, wow. Well, I feel your sister's actions demonstrate a natural, courageous conversation skill. Some people seem born with this skill, and others of us need to practice. What I see in your sister's response is that she started with the heart. And that's one of the tools from the Crucial Conversation book that we've been using. She worked on herself first by not letting her emotion control her or the situation. She knew what she wanted, and she knew what she didn't want, and she focused on those goals first by noticing the first customer's discomfort and serving her, and by speaking respectfully to the offending customer. She didn't reward the failure to follow the store's social distancing rules or the angry response by getting in an argument, and she didn't ignore the situation altogether and just let it slide. So I see your sister's actions as an example for us to learn from. Can I turn the tide and ask your thoughts on how and when you think it's appropriate to address these uncomfortable situations?
You can, and I'll give you my favorite answer. It depends. Using another tool that we have in the Courageous Conversations toolbox is this Kilman diagram, which shows the different methods for addressing conflict. And we say that, there are times that each of these methods is appropriate. But in this case, I'm not really going to talk about competing or collaborating because of the nature of the ones we're talking about, where we don't have a relationship with the person with whom there's a conflict, and it's going to be very brief. The other three are really more appropriate. Starting with avoiding. If we feel like our health could be compromised, or the person is overly angry or is just trying to provoke, best thing to do is probably just avoid that situation. Second thing, either accommodating or compromising. In this case, pretty much the same thing, where you just let them go first, or I'll take a different aisle. If there's somebody in an aisle that is not wearing a mask, I'll go to a different aisle and I'll come back, or I'll wait for them to be done. The only difference really between those two is if you're compromising, you're having a conversation about that, and I'll tell them, why don't you finish what you're doing, and then I'll go next. So those can all be, I think, the ways of dealing with those kinds of things, where we're doing it, and especially in a public place where we're not expected to be the mask police or confront everybody.
So more than one choice.
Absolutely, yeah. And we can contact store management and just let them know that we would support and encourage them to make sure that all their employees are properly masked and gloved, and that they encourage their patrons to be there as well.
Okay, thank you, Andre. So I guess in summary, there are a number of things we can do We can start with the heart, and we can do this by keeping track of our emotions and knowing what we want and what we don't want from the conversations or those encounters. And finally, we can avoid the fool's choice, thinking that we have to fight or flight or argue or go to silence, because there are other choices. So thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Jen. I hope people find this helpful.
Me too.